He's so dangerous with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players in the world.
So put the ball in his hands 8 times a game.
I don't watch football. I just show up to my fantasy league with 2 Celsius and I get cracking. If you love fantasy football, you probably hate Travis Hunter. And you probably don't watch football. And that's okay, because right now, players in the last 30 years to have multiple games with 3+ receptions and 2+ tackles in a single season: Deion Sanders in 1996 and Travis Hunter in 2025. That's it. That's the entire list. Those are the only players to do that. I want you, and I want everyone to understand that, first off, as a Texans fan, sadly, the Jags are 3-1. They're 3-1. They have a winning record with a new head coach and Trevor Lawrence as their quarterback. Everyone needs to look at that and understand that. And right now, I have a bunch of fantasy football goobers, yes, goobers, that are complaining that Travis Hunter is so awful. He's so bad. He hasn't lived up to the hype yet, man. Well, it's because he's playing 2 positions. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's because he's a rookie. Did y'all not remember that? It's because he started off with injury. It's because, as it's already been quoted, he's being pulled out of games and held from certain places. The Jags don't even know what they want to do with Travis Hunter. So all the fantasy football people, right? They want to say that Travis Hunter is a bum. He's this, he's that, right? This awful. I hate this dude so much. Devi Usuf. I don't know. It's always terrible football takes whenever he's on my Twitter. And he said, I don't even like the Sam Monson guy. He does. I think his takes are a little mid too. But February 26th, notice that this dude went to a February 26th tweet and found it. He said, I haven't spoken to an analyst yet at the combine that doesn't have Travis Hunter as wide receiver 1 in this draft. He says, update. And he says, I still haven't spoken to an analyst at the combine that doesn't have Travis Hunter as wide receiver 1. Look, we can see it. Anybody with eyes that watches the games, again, as a Texans fan, sadly, can see that Travis Hunter has the ability to make magic happen when the football field. So we're going to watch a little bit of film, maybe just a little bit of what makes him so great. But more importantly, I want to hear all these people justify how terrible Travis Hunter is while he's already broken a record. I don't even understand. Let's hear it.
Travis Hunter just being irrelevant, just a disaster. We joke on the fantasy show. We call him expensive Wan'Dale Robinson. And
I was very jealous of that bit. Yeah, it's almost insulting to Wan'Dale Robinson at this point. He's like expensive Pop Douglas.
He is. He's just like not playing. And he's the worst of both worlds. He doesn't play corner that much and he doesn't play receiver that much. So he's the 77th highest scoring wide receiver this year in fantasy, which feels impossible. But he was being drafted before guys like Rome Odunze, Ibuka, Pearsall. He plays 58% of the snaps. He's like a backup tight end. It's a disaster. I think that they're trying to double down because they want to prove that it was worth it to trade up for him. So like, no, we're going to stick to he's going to play both sides of the ball thing, because that's the only way we can explain having to trade away a 1st-round pick to move up 2 spots.
That's the only way you make the trade. If you think you're getting 2 players, which is how they soft sold it after the draft. Like, look, this is like filling 2 positions at the same time, and it's
filling none.
So, filling none, and again, like I want to make sure we understand that the way that this is being spoke about, right? It's solely not through winning football games. It's not about being at the top. It's not about winning Super Bowls. It's not about that. And pardon me, I'm pulling up some statistics to see where the Jacksonville Jaguars rank. Oh wow, that's interesting. So we're gonna go through some stats too, because again, people don't watch football. They don't look at stats. I get all that. A disaster. Again, he's doing something. He's already done something that only one other player has done. And preseason, if you've been watching long enough, we did videos documenting the other players that have done that, and it's Deion Sanders and then like someone from 1960, like that. That's it. Like those are the only people who have ever been successful to play both sides of the ball. So I want it to be known that as much as people can cry and complain about him being a bust and him not playing the snaps, him doing all these things. Well, it's a plan, right? Like the football teams don't care about your fantasy points. I don't know if that happened, but what happened is y'all have had so many fantasy league. Y'all got the dynasty, y'all got the PPF, y'all got the PPG, y'all got the PCT. Like it's too dog. You don't need 15 different fantasy leagues. And I know in 7 of them you took Travis Hunter because in that league you got tackles as a point percent. Like you're dumb. You're dumb and you don't know how the NFL works. If you thought that drafting Travis Hunter, the experimental player that's doing something unprecedented, you thought that an NFL team was going to be like, all right, let's just give him 100 snaps right away in the NFL. With Brian Thomas and other veteran wide receivers and him having the split reps on the defensive side and Trevor Lawrence trying to get associated with everything. Yeah, we're going to immediately make Travis Hunter the focal point of the offense. Why? Now, I don't think anybody would have predicted that Brian Thomas would be afraid to catch footballs or whatever's going on with him, but it's a very, very fantasy brained. I don't watch football. I just show up to my fantasy league with 2 Celsius and I get cracking, right? And I want you to know there's nothing wrong inherently with fantasy. I'll be making jokes. There's nothing wrong with fantasy football, guys. There is something wrong with completely taking all of your combining your whole analysis and making it fantasy. It's not wins to y'all. It's not stats to y'all. It's nothing, right? And before I get into these stats, I do want to read these stats. So this was Travis Hunter's 9th and final defensive snap, a 3rd and 2 conversion to Ricky Pearsall, played 8 defensive snaps on the opening drive, then this one, then only played offense in the final 3 quarters. Meanwhile, here's Travis Hunter making an incredible 28-yard catch on 3rd and 15, played just 38 of 68 offensive snaps, 9 of 66 defensive snaps. As the 2nd overall pick, he needs to be near full-time in something. So, again, are you going to say he's bad in fantasy, or are you going to point out, like I said, he's not even getting the burn? I know you said like the whole backup tight end things like that, but that needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be acknowledged that, hey, maybe there's something else that's going on here. And I don't know why maybe there's something else that's going on here. So when we look at the statistics, I want y'all to know this is they're complaining about a 3-1 team, right? A 3-1 team. They're at the top. Because I think they might be tied with Indianapolis because they just lost the game. They're at the top of their division, 3-1 team. And if I go by yards per game, and this is NFL Pro statistics, yards per game leaders right now, Jacksonville Jaguars are a top 10 offense when it comes to yards per game in the NFL right now. They're at the top 10 half. Those are with offenses such as the Denver Broncos, the Chargers, the Falcons, which, I mean, the Falcons just be having empty yards. They don't, you know how they get down. The San Francisco 49ers, the Rams, Colts, Bills, and Cowboys, obviously in the top 3. Let's go for EPA per play. They might be at the bottom for EPA per play. They just might. I think are they at the top for EPA per play? Jacksonville Jags. Okay, so they're basically in the middle of the pack for EPA per play. And then pass yards per game specifically. This offense is a bottom 15, well, top 15 in pass yards per game, right? So, and wait, I'm just checking this one out. I just want to see touchdowns. I just want to see where they rank at touchdowns real quick. I don't think they're gonna be pretty low, huh? Jacksonville Jaguars, they're number 17. They're number 16. They're number 16 in touchdown. Anyway, 3-1, top 10 offense when it comes to yards per game, right? And a rookie that has already done something that only an NFL Hall of Famer has done. And we're sitting here talking about how he's a complete bust and how there's nothing he can do and he's so underwhelming. I just it makes me worry. It makes me worry and worried that we're going in an odd place when it comes to analyzing football. If it comes to the point that even just having analysis that breaches past just fantasy points we're falling flat on, there's a serious issue. So here is that same dude with those stats kind of breaking down how he feels about that situation.
I guess my point is this. He played 8 defensive snaps on the opening drive. Then he played 1 more on the next series, which was a 3rd and 2 reception that he allowed in man-to-man coverage versus Ricky Pearsall. And then didn't play a single defensive snap in the final 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he only played 38 of 68 offensive snaps. And I get if those are only in the slot and he's playing nearly 100% of those. The issue with that is the Jaguars are 11th in 3 wide receiver sets at 68% of the time. So then that leads me to a question of, is a guy who's playing 38 of 68 offensive snaps and then 9 defensive snaps, is that worth 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick? The answer is no.
If it's not, like, even if it was Amon-Ra St. Brown as the slot wide receiver, that's a lot for someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who plays in 2 wide receiver sets, even though he's a slot player. So, like, at some point, they have to get him involved either as a full-time, like, if he was 65% snaps on both sides of the ball and he was awesome at it, I think that would potentially be worth it. But you can't do 25% of defensive snaps and then only play in the slot and expect to, like, change the outcome of games. Right. And like you said, the slot stuff, he's made a couple plays on the ball, but he's also allowing some receptions underneath, and he's missed a couple tackles. And I think he had like 1 highlight block in this last game. But on offense, I've also thought that he's been a liability in the blocking department too. And then obviously the pre-snap illegal plays as well. So
for a team that spoke every time they got on a microphone and were asked about that, oh, we have a great plan for him, the plan's going to be fantastic. I don't know what the plan is. You know, it feels like they've already changed the plan through 4 weeks, where he played offense in week 1. Then they had some, cornerback injuries. And so he played more cornerback. They had really good matchups in terms of difficult wide receivers that they face. Yeah. But then in this one, how do you play 8 defensive snaps and then just 1 more, and then you don't play more defense, and then you're
okay? So as much as I want to hoot and holler and I want to get mad and I want to say, you fantasy people, that did not sound like fantasy. These are what we like to call fair criticism. Those are what I like to call stats. Right now, the ring, I don't know. That's y'all are bums. Mike Florio, he's known to be a bum, right? But he's bringing us some stats now. And more importantly, what I appreciate is they didn't just say, hey, Travis Hunter is a bust. They said, look, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and y'all traded up to get this guy, and again, if you've been watching my channel in the offseason, not only were they talking about the plan, they were adamant and confident to Travis Hunter that, hey, you're going to play both sides. We're going to do it this way. This is how we're going to do it. That was a big point of contention of, hey, what is the plan going to be? How are the Jags going to find a way to best implement somebody who's going to do something that is, sight unseen, unprecedented in the world of football? And right now, the question hasn't been answered. Right now, it seems like they're just going to kind of feel it out. I don't know if Travis is still dealing with an injury. I don't know if this is a confidence thing. You have a personal decision, which is affecting him even getting any snaps on the defensive side. Defensive side. It does, in fact, feel like they are lost with this. And as much as I get on the Browns about, hey, asset mismanagement, you're picking 2 quarterbacks in the late quarterback or in the late part of the draft, I have to be equally as mad at Jacksonville if they don't find a way to implement just easy ways to get Travis Hunter the ball. And I know y'all have heard me say this 1,000 times. But 1,000 times rather. But I think the answer should be that if y'all believe in him as a cornerback, is to be a starting corner that has packages on offense, right? I just feel like that makes more sense than when Travis Hunter gets in, right? I call it the Taysom Hill effect, where, all right, well, something's changed, right? Like what that does is the defenses have to be alert, right? So he can be used as what's called a decoy. You could just motion him across the field, and hey, it is what it is, that type beat. So there's a lot that can be done with Travis Hunter that doesn't even need, I don't think, as much extra thought or extra ingraining in him. We can still allow him to play in those 2 wide receiver sets or just play in the slot and only get X amount of snaps. But I think adding value to those snaps, putting targets to those snaps, and scheming ways for him to get the ball instead of just saying, hey, we're going to go out there and run this or whatever. Hey, Brian Thomas is your first read. Hey, the X is going to be your first read. No. Hey, if he's only going to get 8 snaps, I need him to be pump faked at. I need him to be targeted. I need him to get a pitch. It needs to. That's what those type of players are. I think he is the closest thing to a volume running back, right? Like a DeMarco Murray, Adrian Peterson, those types of running backs. Now they ain't got those anymore. Back in my day, right? Used to have a volume running back. Todd Gurley, that's what happened to his knees. Where you gotta give him before he gets to 10 carries, he ain't even ready yet, right? You know what I'm saying? He gonna get 15 to 20 on a light day, and you got to just keep feeding him and feeding him and feeding him. And it might be 3 yards, it might be 2 yards, it might be in the first quarter, all right, but in that second quarter, okay, the 3 turns to 4. In the third quarter, that 4 turns into 6. And then in the fourth quarter, when nobody wants to tackle, when it's a 1-score game, when it's real nasty and everybody's tired, them motherfuckers start turning to 15. They start turning to 20. They start and you grind them down. He gets his own little groove going. So I think he might be that type of player where instead of limiting him, and Deion Sanders says that, right? Instead of limiting him, I think you just need to be, it's like a health bar. Hey, let's get him as many carries and if that means We can't use him in the third quarter. Okay, cool. But I don't think trying to pace him out, it clearly isn't working. And clearly for the fantasy people. But on top of that, I do want to point out that doesn't mean that he's a failure. This doesn't mean that he's a bust. This doesn't mean that he's doing something or he doesn't have the value. I do also believe that there might be a ramped plan. I do believe that this is a 17-game season in which we've seen how many starting quarterbacks go down, how many starters in general go down. Tyreek Hill at awful age, people. It's the NFL now. People do drop and they do get injured. Travis Hunter did have injuries in the preseason. So before we start hooting and hollering about fantasy football points, I just want to make sure that we have as much context as possible because it's looking a little nasty if you don't. But hey man, I believe in Travis. I think he's gonna be A-okay. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down below in the comments. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like football content. We'll see you next time. Peace.